Okay, so parathyroid hormone, PTH, it's going to do the opposite that calcitonin did. By the way, guys, the parathyroid's these little glands that are on the posterior side of your thyroid. But all right, so check it out. So secreted by the parathyroids when blood calcium levels are low. So remember homeostasis. If you're low, it's going to bring it back up. So let's write that. Increases blood calcium levels. But again, no magic tricks. So the way it's going to do that though is mainly here. Stimulates osteoclasts. Remember, the bone destroyers is going to turn them on. These cells are going to go in, chew up a little bit of bone matrix, spit out the calcium into the blood, and raise your blood calcium levels up. You guys don't have to write anything here. It also stimulates the production of. Remember, calcitriol is the active form of vitamin D, the hormone version of it. And I mentioned that the kidney is involved in activating it, which remember that also increases blood calcium levels. Okay, achondroplasia or achondroplastic dwarfism, kind of the old kind of a non-PC name, but achondroplasia. Here's something that's optional but suggested to write down. We're going to break up the word here. A means without or not, no. Chondro, you guys should know, cartilage. And plasia means growth, so no cartilage growth. Okay, so here's what's up with this disorder. I'm going to cut and paste in what you guys are supposed to write. Here, I'll do it down here. All right. For one, it's a genetic disorder, so you got to inherit it. So it's not like rickets, where it's a dietary deficiency or something like that, and you can't catch it from someone else. This is dominantly inherited. If you guys remember Punnett squares and dominants and recessives and stuff like that. But it's dominantly inherited, but more often than not, it results. So it says frequently spontaneous. So what that means is, it doesn't clearly like run in your family or something like that. There'll be a mutation in an embryo, and it'll just kind of pop up out of the blue. Okay, so here's why it's called no cartilage growth and the result of it. All right, so the cartilage that's impaired is in the epiphyseal plate. So impaired function of the growth plates. Remember we just said, or a little while ago, that's where long bones grow in length. So if you've got impaired epiphyseal plate function, you end up with short limbs. So hold on, let me pull you guys up some pictures. Here, check this out. So these guys are brothers. Obviously not identical twins, but they're twins. So this guy, normal. This guy, achondroplasia. So if you look at the trunk's about the same on both. The head's about the same size. There's stuff going on where the head's actually expanded the top of the cranium in people with achondroplasia. I'm not really sure what's up with that, but it's another feature of the disease. But anyway, look at the arms, like especially his upper arm here. But that little boy's arm is just about the same size as his lower arm. Or check out the whole leg here, especially like where his femur is. Like the whole leg's only like knee size to him. So it's the limbs that are really making him smaller, and not his trunk and his head. There's some famous people that have had this disorder. Do another picture. You're watching Game of Thrones. It's a pretty awesome show if you ever get a chance to see it. But that guy, he's that imp, and then these guys. It's a small picture, but the little people, big world. So here you've got mom and dad both have it, and some of their kids do, and some of their kids don't. So here, I assume it was inherited from the mom and the dad here. So I remember this boy had achondroplasia, and I don't think any of their other kids do. No, they don't. Okay, osteoporosis. Um, Osteoporosis is going to be a problem. Here's something you might want to just break up the word. Osteoporosis means bone holes, bone pores. So what you're going to get is inadequate bone mineralization. And another thing you want to write down, what it's mainly going to affect, at least as far as causing symptoms and stuff like that, is the spongy bone. one more thing. Pop this in here too. It it doesn't only happen in postmenopausal women, but it's really common. It starts to happen like you start to lose calcium in your bone, women in your 30s. I mean, and it just doesn't happen to women either. It happens to men also. I had an uncle that had osteoporosis, but it's much more common in women as they get older, especially in Caucasian women. African American women have a much less chance of getting osteoporosis. Actually, an African American woman has about the same chance of developing osteoporosis as I do. Oh, wait, let's check out some pictures. So remember we said it mainly affects spongy bone. So here we can see normal versus osteoporosis. So there's holes on both sides, but with the osteoporosis you get much larger cavities in there, and that really weakens that bone up. So one thing you're going to see a lot of times, here's a kind of a small picture here, it says like 35 plus, 55 plus, 65 plus. A lot of times you'll see older women with this kind of bent back, but it's called kyphosis. It's an exaggerated thoracic curvature. But so what's going on? And they got compression fractures. Remember the body is the vertebrae, which inside that's all spongy bone. It's breaking under the weight of the body. Okay, anything to put out there? No. Okay, so terms for fracture and fracture repair: stress and pathological fracture. A stress fracture is due to trauma. Here, just write trauma there. You fell off a ladder, you got hit by a car or whatever. So it's physical stress. But like with osteoporosis, if the fracture is because of disease, that's a pathological fracture. So pathology, disease or pathodisease. So the bodies of your vertebrae shouldn't break because of the weight of your body. But again, if you got osteoporosis, like I mentioned, my uncle, he had osteoporosis. He fractured the neck of his femur from just like nothing, pretty much. I forget exactly what happened. He bumped it. Something that shouldn't have broke it. Okay, open and closed fractures. Here's what you want to write on open. Let me cut and paste it in here. Cut and paste. AKA open fracture is also called compound fractures. So what's open about it is the skin. You're going to break the bone and it's going to punch through the skin. I won't Google you pictures. If you've got a strong constitution, go Google open fracture and you'll see all sorts of stuff. All right, closed fracture, aka simple. So here, what's closed is the skin. So, aka simple fracture, but the skin's not broken, so you can totally break the bone, but it's not poking off on the outside of the body. All right, go down here. Complete and incomplete. You can write whatever you want here. You guys know what complete means, and you know what incomplete means, and it's just what it means in English. So complete fracture, it's totally broken. Incomplete, it's not. So some of the bone's still attached. But here on the green stick, we're gonna write something that's probably not intuitive at all. Here's what you want to write. So it's a type of incomplete fracture, and it's common in kids. We really don't get them, but so the name comes from if you got like a twig or something, it's still on the tree. There's still leaves on it, green. They're really hard to break into, like an old dried up stick in your yard or something. You just pick it up and snap it right into. If it's still alive, they're easy to bend, but they're really hard to break. And kids' bones, this is part of the thing why they get sort of rickets and we don't, but their bones have a little more collagen in it than ours do, and their bones tend to bend a little more. So that one picture I pulled up a little while ago, I said that was kind of the wrong one. The point of this picture was to show you a green stick fracture in a kid. So it's a growth plate. It's a kid. It's kind of hard to see the growth plate, but it's right there. But now you can see the breaks, incomplete, not all the way through, and those bones, all in the radius, they're definitely bent. All right, comminuted and compression fracture. A comminuted fracture, you're broken into 3 or more pieces. Broken into 3 or more pieces. Let me find you a picture. Okay, here's a really bad comminuted fracture of the humerus. So there's the head of the humerus, and then there's 1, 2, 3 big chunks, and there's more little chunks down there too. That's a really bad fracture. All right, so I'm gonna move this back over here. Pull that up. Oop, pull that up. And there we go. Okay. I'll let you guys just write here. A compression fracture is just what it sounds like it is. It's the bone has been crushed. Like we were talking about those vertebrae with fractures with osteoporosis. They're pathological fractures. They're also compression fractures. I might have said that because the bodies of the vertebrae of the body's weight just crushes them like an empty beer can or something. All right, healing of fractures, 4 stages. Okay, guys, I don't have my book. I can't get into it. It's in the building, and it's at a place where I can't get it yet. But in your book somewhere is this picture. Go find it. And write down, see that page number, whatever it is. Because it shows you the 4 stages of fracture formation. I'm going to maybe fudge this a little bit. But the first part, when you break the bone, there's a lot of blood vessels in it. So you get the formation of a hematoma, a mass of blood. Just kind of a consequence of the injury, probably more than it's really like a part of the healing process. But remember, you can't bone out of the blue. So you just can't like make a new bone chunk and stick it in there. So the first thing you're going to do is kind of turn it into a soft callus. It's like a fibrous sort of tissue that infiltrates the stuff. And then you turn that over into like a cartilaginous sort of thing. Oh, wait here. This is fibrocartilaginous. So fibery first, then kind of cartilage. So you've got like a cartilage splint that kind of patches the bone chunk there. And then you turn that over into bone. So you get a bony callus formation. And then the last step's remodeling. So note when you first make that bone patch, like here, this must be a long bone, so you can see there's a medullary cavity. There's no medullary cavity right there. You've got like a solid chunk of bone, so you'll have to re-dig out a medullary cavity, and the bone's probably going to be a little bit thicker. You'll have to like shave it down a little bit and just make it look like it did before you broke it. Okay. There we go. So, and there's everything we just said. So with hematoma formation, all right, so like we said, with hematoma formation, that is a mass of clotted blood. Cut and paste. Mass of clotted blood. All right. Formation of the granulation tissue. We're going to lump that into, remember that fibrocartilage patch that sort of plugs in the break there? And then the hard callus formation is when you're going to take that cartilage chunk and you're going to convert that over into bone. Fibrocartilage converted into bone. And then remodeling. Or I said bone resumes normal shape. So there you go. All right. Real quick so I can fit this in 15 minutes. Open reduction is a term for that. So it's a surgical bone repair, and you're probably, wrong parentheses there. You're going to have some, I'll leave it. You're going to have some hardware in that bone, some pins, plates, and screws. And a closed reduction is a non-surgical bone repair. All right, so go ahead and write that down. And let me see if I can find that picture I had. Here we go. Small picture, but you can see there's plates, and you can see the threading on the screws there through the fibula. And there's a pin going into the side of the tibia there too. Open reduction, for sure. And that's it for the chapter. Done.